I'm going to try to explain how I do the guard proxy or belly bump jump in high class heist. So starting off here, um, this first video is going to be a success, and I'm going to kind of break down what I'm doing. So this first part right here, it doesn't really matter too much. Right here is the first part where gameplay starts to matter. Running up to here, just try to be as optimal as you can be. But this is the first part that starts the setup and making it work. You want to make sure that you double jump over these lasers. And if you forget to double jump and you only like single jump over them or something, and you trip these lasers, it's fine. You can just do a really slow double jump and a little bit later to try to readjust the time. But run through the level a couple times, get used to double jumping over this. Right here, you want to do a quick double jump or a long double jump. Like I said, if you have to get over the lasers, tripping them is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Um, but you want to make sure you're doing another double jump. That's the important part. Running down this doesn't really matter until you get to right here. And again, you're going to do a quick double jump and try to stay, try to don't go any farther left over here. This is too slow, and then going too far to the right will trip the alarm, and tripping the alarm is bad because it makes you spend more time, which means you get there slower, which means the setup fails. But this is the most important part, is to just keep Sly kind of positioned over this thing to the left here. And again, do a quick double jump. It doesn't have to be extremely quick. You know, mash the X button, but make sure you don't spend too much time in the air because you can trip this laser on this high beam. Here again, you want to do a double jump. Now this time, doing it too quickly, you can actually break this laser and it will trip it, and that's bad. Even though you're not tripping the laser super early, and you can still make it through these two lasers here, like in this back two lasers. Even though you can still make this one, you cannot make the one in the far back. And that's where it's important. We want to not break the laser until we come to this laser beam right here. This one that I'm following. You don't want to break the laser until here. Now you also can't double jump too high and too slow, because you'll trip these lasers here, coming from the eyes. And that's also bad. I'm gonna just do a moderately quick double jump up and over these lasers, and you're good to go. Here, you just single jump through these to break the lasers and run along this path. Now, right here is kind of important. What you want to be looking for is him to be slamming here in the back and this guy to have aggroed you. If this has happened, and this guy is doing his little slam jam here in the back, and this guy is trying to slam jam you, this is perfect. This is exactly what you want. Now, you don't want to go too far to the left here on like this side. For whatever reason, it seems like getting to the point where he would instantly try to jump and attack you. He does this weird thing where the game sends him really far back to back here on this side of the platform, and it's unacceptable. You can save that. It's really hard, and I'll try to explain it. I didn't record anything about that, but using the visual cues that I'm going to be giving you, you can potentially save it. But know that it is hard and comes down more to your timing on another part of the trick and less about the position of So here you're just going to kill him, and you're going to jump up and over this. Now, your positioning here is very important when you're breaking this. You want to make sure that Sly is no further down than these this bolt right here. You don't want to be past these. His right foot should not. Excuse me. His right foot should not be anywhere near this, and you want to break both of these. You want to hit this twice, and that's going to break the bones and the sign. It also renders the fire useless, but that's just kind of a side effect that doesn't really benefit you in any way. But that cuts down the amount of objects here that can potentially trip you up and give you a slightly better range of angles that can work in your favor. You want to make sure that you're staying here, and here's where you're going to start repositioning your camera, because you're going to be standing still here until he jumps and fully slides. Once he starts getting back up, then you can start moving to the next position. and it's really important that you get him, or that you wait until he has fully completed the animation here. And next, you're going to move over to this position, and it's kind of hard to see. I can't really zoom in very much here. If I can do this here on this end. Um, there are these bolts. I'm pointing out OBS. There are these bolts here that kind of form a little line in a sense, or kind of like a little square. And because like you see this band doesn't end, its band ends rather, and these bands continue on. So you want to be no more past this little square. And I wish I could draw a line here, but I can't. Just make sure you don't pass that, and preferably you're a little bit closer to one of these two bolts. And which way you position doesn't matter. I always position slide towards the camera so that way I can run away further. And you can also take this time if you want to give a quick glance at his hand. And if his hand is visible at all, you should be fine. Whenever I've had problems with this working when I was first initially messing with setups, if his hand wasn't visible, then he generally would get stuck on this and bounce off it and slide to the right. And when he slides to the right, then you get too close to the skull and you fail when you go for the jump. So here you're just going to wait until he starts to jump. And then as soon as he jumps, you're going to move and you're not going to go farther than this band unless you feel you, you don't have to. You can jump if you want to be even more safe, just to make sure you don't get slammed, and that's fine. Now here's the most important part. Let's see if I can get, okay, this should be fine. So now you want to make sure that Sly is not positioned on this band at all. He needs to be right at the edge of it, so long as the guard is about this distance. This is where it gets a little bit more complicated. So there's a lot of things that affect this. Um, one is the distance that Sly is from him. The second is the position on which you hit the guard. So anywhere in this region, anywhere of the guard, has different effects to an extent. The third is the timing in which you hit the guard. So which part of his animation he's in, whether it's the start of his initial jump up, whether it's the middle of that, whether it's right before he turns to start slamming down, all of that needs to be taken into consideration in doing this. And just video back, that way it's in the proper size here. So now that you've gotten to this part, um, there's a couple of ways that you can mess this up and ways that you can potentially save them. So what I generally try to aim for is anywhere along to the right of this. So I kind of just split them down the middle. Just pretend that there's a line here splitting him down the middle, and don't go anywhere on the left. Anywhere on the left is going to be it's going to either kill you and you're going to get crushed, or it's going to send you over to the water. You might get extremely lucky and land on the extra life platform, in which case, if you do, I'll be showing a way later on how to get the setup from failure, and that's essentially a similar thing. Um, and then anywhere to the right of pretty much this like shoulder down is bad. So this the majority of his like pant leg up to like this button. I generally try to aim Sly for right about here in this general area, and that's the angle that I'm trying to line up with the camera. That's something that I should have mentioned earlier. We're moving the camera here to line up Sly, not moving Sly, because we've already gotten the distance that we want to be from the guard and how much and the angle we already have. So we're gonna hold just directly forward on the D-pad. So now that we've lined them up, you see how Sly's kind of pointed towards this direction. This is so when I hold up on the D-pad, go the exact same way that I want to wait until he's just about to do this. And this is when you want to jump, is right around here. And this is going to take a little bit of getting the feeling down for. And honestly, I don't really have any words of advice other than get him to hear and keep trying timings until you eventually get it down. Um, how I did it is I would just kind of mess around with him and just lead him over to this general corner and just keep practicing jumping into him until I kept getting um, good enough heights to just get sent over to the right. Even if I failed, it didn't really matter. Uh, I was just trying to make sure I kept getting at least a good launch, whether or not I landed on the platform. That didn't matter. I just wanted to make sure I was getting the timing down to feel, when was too early. Because if you go too early, then you just miss and you fail, or he kills you. If you go way too late, or rather, yeah, if you go way too late, then you just miss him entirely and nothing happens, and it's just bad. And I'll be explaining some more of that later as well. Like I said, right here, you're gonna jump, and as soon as you get bounced off of him, so after you get bounced off of him, you're going to start holding in the direction of the platform. And later on, I'll be explaining this more in depth. But essentially, what it comes down to is directly right. If you can see here from the guard, directly right is going to send you off in this direction over towards where the bottle is. Directly down is going to send you super far down, and you're going to like barely miss the platform. And then there's this there's this wide range of area where you can hold in between straight down and straight right that will lead you to different results, essentially, of where you're going to land. There's um, there's a bunch of those spots, and I can try to see if I remember what those are. I think I get that. I think they're just right here. Just go ahead and do this. So this was kind of like up and down right, is you land pretty much right around here. And if you're holding a little bit further down than what I was holding, and you just do just a single jump, I did a double jump, make sure I had enough height to clear it. That's another thing that I'll go over here in a second. You'll generally land in this like range of area. You're not holding too far right. If you're holding more right than down, you'll land in this general vicinity. And sometimes you can even ledge grab. And this is something that I wanted to take note of. Um, this is something that happens very rarely, and it just kind of sucks, and there's really nothing you can do about it. And why I try to avoid as much as I can double jumping instead of single jumping. And that's you can land on this fire hydrant, and you'll carry your momentum, and you'll die in the corner, and that's no bueno. But so anyway, like I said, this whole area down here, you can ledge grab this, and you can ledge grab this whole circle around here, and that'll happen if you go a little, if you go late, but not too late, and you, or rather, you jump too early, excuse me. If you jump too early, you'll be earlier in his push up cycle, but you'll be lower in relation to him because your height on him also matters. So the higher you are on him and the earlier you are in his going up cycle, um, all those things affect how you get launched. So if you're too low on his body, sometimes you'll get caught here and you'll get ledge grabs. Those are kind of fail safes in a sense. It's nothing too. That's not a good thing to ledge grab. It just means, hey, I got it. Now if you hold more down instead of down right, then you'll land over here. And this one is incredibly important. You cannot double jump this one. And what I mean by double jumping is we single jump into the guard, we get bounced off of him, and then you can either do a second jump or you can just carry that momentum. And if you're holding really far down, in between that down and down right angle, like I was saying, you're You're holding more down than normal, because if you see we're over here, if we were holding more down, we would get a launch over here to this angle. You cannot double jump, because if you do, then you'll slide off back there. You'll slide off back here and take damage, and that's not good. And if you're holding in kind of a perfect, holding like a perfect down right angle, I didn't show it off here, I thought I did. You'll land in between the two bottles, and you're fine. You can either single or double jump that. I generally am going to recommend single jumping it, not trying to risk the double jump unless you kind of feel like you're not going to be able to make it. Because sometimes you can bounce off this pillar, and that's no bueno. We don't like that. We like succeeding at the trick, not failing at it. So if we let's skip ahead here. So here I'm going to show off some kind of failures on purpose. So this is what happens if you line up too far to the right. As you can see here, there's a huge difference between when I was aiming for his little button here on his suspenders and when I'm aiming more here for like the right of his shoulder and stuff. And you'll see when I do this, I tried to like save it here a little bit, but you can see there, I got a really wacky, wonky launch compared to what you're supposed to be getting. And I also timed it a little bit differently. But you can see that I think I even bounced off the skull, because normally this is supposed to send you a lot more further to the right. I'm pretty sure I bounced off the skull. Yeah, I think I might have bounced off the skull. But you can see here, you get super, super launched, not anywhere you want to go, and it's just bad. And that's going really, really late. So you're at like the peak of his, they're going like super, super early rather, and you get really high launched. So the early you are in his going up, the further you get launched. The later you are, the further down you get launched. You get launched in more of a straight line. So you want to be in between the middle of his going up cycle. And you want to have the proper angle. And you want to time your jump so you can hit either of those things at the right height. So it's a bunch of things all in combination. So this is me kind of showing off what you can do if you fail and he's running over. And essentially you just stand right in that area that we were at beforehand. And he should jump relatively close to that area. Here I got a little unlucky and he ended up being, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. And I wanted him to, he slid a little bit, but that's fine. And in here, just trying to re-get him into that same spot, the same general situation. Stand here, get him to jump over, get him to jump into this general area, or if he's over here, just stand in that little square I was talking about earlier, and that's really what's important. You'll see here, I didn't do the setup properly. I was respawning from the checkpoint, and he's in the right spot. Now there, I got extremely close to him and jumped super, super late, and you can see nothing. I get no launch. I was angled to the right, so I got launched to the right. There's nothing really beneficial from that. I did. Pause the video. You see, I'm much closer. I'm not anywhere back here like normal. By the time I've jumped and I'm starting to get to him, he's already, crouched and in the air and whatnot. I'm hitting him way over here. It's not good. You hate to see that happen. Here again, just trying to get the same setup. Make sure I'm in the corner. Going here. Now that was way, way, way too late. And like I said, sometimes you can get lucky if you're way too late, and he'll just whiff. And then you can kind of try to reset it up, position yourself again, go for it again. And as long as it's in the same spot, you're good to go with your old setup. If he's a little bit further back, just take like a half step forward, or jump slightly earlier than you would intend, and you should be able to make it still. Some more things that can happen when you go late. And there you go. There we go. This is where I showed it off at. This was more of a down right angle. So you can see here, I'm holding the down right from him. And here we are, right here. So you would land either here in the bottles, right around here. If you were a little bit lower on him, you can ledge grab that where the bottles are, and you can save it. And if you can see here, when I would have double jumped at some point, I would have carried my speed a little bit further, and I would have bounced off this pillar and died. Now, I walk off here like an idiot. I was fine. That was nothing to do with the setup or anything like that. I just walked off because I'm an idiot. Now, got some more stuff here. I think this is... I want to say this was just me showing off things. Live commentary. Okay. Oh, no. I know what it is. Alright. I remember why I did this now. So, this is the guard position. This is where you're at without the pressure of the guard here. So this is what you're supposed to be doing. So this is like your normal full angle. Guards here, you're here. So, if you think about it, so when I do this, I hold kind of down right, but more right. And you'll see here when I turn the camera that I'm positioned like this. This is pretty far right, not so much down right. You're pretty much angling Sly with the down right after you get bounced to land somewhere within this range. This is like the range you have. And directly down from here sends you over in this direction. And you want to be in this direction. You can try to visualize that as best as you can. So this is too far right, not enough down. And it's really hard to mess this up and hit the bridge. You're either going to go way over here and do nothing, um, where you're gonna be fine. You can't hold too far right without it being an obscene failure. It's really hard to get in this little notch here and be screwed. It's very rare. Most majority of the time, if you're this close, you're gonna succeed anyway. Here, this is see by comparison with slides normally facing forward. This is really far down right. And you can see we're perfectly lined up for where we want to be at. Exactly where we want to be. This would be a single jump, provided you got enough speed. This would be a single jump. You land right here, perfect, good to go. You were just a little bit further to the right, you would land in this little pocket. Sometimes you have to double jump to hit that, but be wary. You can land on that hydrant and you will die. And then if you were a little bit further down instead of down right on the control stick, then you would land over here, and you don't want to double jump here. So only single jump. Single jump most of the time, double jump if you have to. Mostly going to be double jumping, but be careful. You can make this in a single jump if you get a really fast launch. And that's another thing you just kind of have to get a feel for. I can't really show you the differences between that. You just kind of got to get a feel for it. And as you do it and sit here and practice it, eventually you'll start to pick up on what's going on.